I'm not at all an expert in audio engineering. I know it was the same in radio. I would work with engineers. I know exactly what I want it to sound like, and I know that's what it should sound like. But getting it there, I'm not able to do that. And so we really appreciate you did that for my booth here, my whisper room. You gave me the audio processing, and people love it. And then for my gear, my mobile gear, I had you set it up about a year ago because we were going to have major construction just a block away. And so I wanted to have some mobile gear I could take away from here just in case. Didn't end up using it, but I'm going to use it on the road. So I appreciate that. And I know Hudson does too. Hudson, you were going to say something because you're in a little bit of a different situation.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm in my hobo fort still. And I just wanted to say thank you because I haven't had one person say that has used me that has said, hey, your audio sounds a little bit off, or it sounds like you're using, a little bit lower tier of equipment. So that's just a testament to you for the work you've done and how well you made it sound. So thank you.
Well, yeah, I'm so glad to hear that from both of you. And I know, we worked together. It was a little while back at this point, but I'm so glad to hear that stuff is holding up for both of you guys.
Yeah. And one of the things I appreciate about you is the same with your dad. He's on the other side of the microphone, but you're responsive, communicative, professional. And I didn't always have that with engineers. I don't know about Bill in radio. If you had, sometimes they weren't always the easiest to communicate. At least that's the ones that I had.
Radio engineers are their own breed. It's a whole different type of, I'm not going to judge good or bad. I'm just saying it's a whole different, world.
Yeah. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you working with us. And I know anytime, somebody uses you, I hear the remarks. So you have a lot of good things going for you, and we appreciate that. Now, one of the things you're doing is, and I'm going to try not to get into a time frame because we're doing this on a Monday, but it's not going to air till next Monday. But fortunately for us, you do your webinars that you're having for Bill's group, your group, on Monday nights. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, so, for the next few weeks.
For the next few weeks. How many are there total? And can you, both of you, kind of explain, without giving all the details, can you kind of explain, how people can use those, who's going to benefit from them, that type of stuff? Do you mind?
Yeah, I'll let Alex, that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. So to clarify, the Monday night sessions that I'll be doing for the next few weeks are the that I do for Bill's training group. And typically I would do those on a Tuesday evening, but for the next 3 Tuesdays, I'll be doing a specialized class for VO editing. So basically we're kind of starting from the ground up. So kind of assuming that the folks who are going to tune in are newer to the VO game. So kind of starting at that gear, what kind of mics there are out there, what kind of mics work well in certain situations, what kind of room treatment you need for your recording space, kind of taking those basics and building on from there, talking about effects and editing you need to know to get going.
Are you using mainly, are you just teaching out of Adobe Audition?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I mainly do use Adobe Audition myself. So naturally, of where I tend to gravitate to, but I did kind of come in with a specific goal to not get too hung up on the DAW or the recording program that we're using. I tried to target it to audio engineering for VO generally. So the kind of stuff we're talking about really should be able to apply to any DAW or workstation.
So you're doing how many webinars, seminars in a row? How many on Monday nights?
So on Mondays, we've switched my weekly webinar that I do all the time to Mondays for the next 3 weeks so that I can do this class on the Tuesdays instead.
I see. Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
if I could just throw in, yeah, I have a blueprint training program, and Alex does every week. He does a webinar. So that's a private group. It's not open to the pub. Nobody, not just anybody can sign up to be in that webinar. What he's been doing and what he's doing right now for the next, he started last week, we'll go for another 3 weeks, will be like the VOTech mastery class. I don't know if that helps to better
Right.
differentiate. But it's a 4 week class that anybody can that can buy and be a part of.
And so
Yeah.
you'll start out where and end up where? You didn't answer that, did you? I mean, can you help me kind
No,
of
not
walk me
really.
through?
Sure. Yeah. So week one we did last week, and that was our gear segment. So we talked about the different kinds of microphones, setting up your recording space, or what different DAWs you can use, all that kind of stuff. From there, we're going to be getting into the recording process a little bit, how to set up your space for recording and what to do once you get rolling on the mic. From there, we'll move into a whole class about effects and plugins, how to first of all know what you're doing when it comes to these different effects, what they all do, what they're all capable of, and then furthermore how to use them. Dial them in for your voice specifically and your microphone and your recording space. And then kind of the last thing we're going to get into is manual voiceover editing, how to edit dialogue manually. You've run all your effects and plugins and that sort of stuff.
Sounds like you're trying to work yourself out of a job if you're going to teach people all of these things, Alex.
Well, look, I like to put the information out there. It's not easy stuff to do. I don't think I'll be leaving with a class full of fully trained audio engineers by any means, but I know what you mean. And it is a lot. Kind of the point.
Yeah, but I imagine that some people, like, they might be like myself that has the first part or even the second part, but would really like to see it all fit together. And like, I could really use like plugins and just all those little idiosyncrasy type things that would help just make my voice pop a little bit more, or like Bill, you do on your pro demos, making sure it's really professional. Is that what you're hoping to have people have when they leave?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. That's kind of the point too, is to be able to kind of jump in at whatever level you are at. So for someone like yourself, you might not need to jump in until week 3. But then you also have the option of watching those first 2 classes to, kind of pick up some more information if need be.
Yeah, I find all the time that like I'll hit the wrong button on my DAW and I don't know how to get out of it. And so it's like, I think I better call Alex. And then usually first I say, I'm not going to bother Alex. I'll see if one of my adult sons who just are a little better at this than I am. Bill, you're laughing, but you don't have that problem, do you? Because you're more of an expert. You used to until
Right.
Alex trained you.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I've been using Adobe Audition since I don't know, whenever it was created.
Cool Edit, yeah.
Yeah, Cool Edit Pro, yeah. And then was with it all those years. But when I got into voiceover, was using it more intensively. And I would get into these scenarios where it's like I didn't know where I was at or how to get out of it. And over time, I just realized that was it Command Z can undo what you just did. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they are on the but it's Command Z. That's your friend.
Write that down,
Command
Dad.
Z will take you backwards.
I'm writing that down.
Write that down. Yeah.
It saved my bacon on more than one occasion.
That might be my only need from all 4, all of your technical training is just
there you go. Yeah, and like we said, that applies to any DAW.
It does? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Hudson, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
I did. Alex, I've been watching Bill's early morning live sessions or live recording that you do. And he had you on a couple mornings ago. Maybe it was probably last week. And he talked about you've been doing editing since what, you were like 15 for him and stuff like that. So my question is, was that out of necessity, or like, had you always had a fascination with it? So what's the story there?
So basically, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Dad, but I believe that was out of necessity for him.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, it was for me. I think
need-
that you was just beat driving to Dairy Queen or wherever.
Yeah.
exactly,
or
or walking on my paper route, you know.
Right. Right, yeah, exactly.
So it was like I could sit inside and be in the air conditioning, so I'll take that.
Mhm.
And you know, I had grown up playing music. You know, my dad together even since I was a kid, and so it always fascinated me for sure. But I never really pictured myself doing anything involving audio. Um, and then you know he showed me the ropes and kind of how to work the basics, and you know it was kind of over from there.
Mhm.
Did you then, so what you're saying, this was the question I had. Did you kind of want to do this because of your dad's job influence, and then you went to college and studied specifically for that? Or was it more in college that you said, I want to do this more for, you know, my business, my career?
Yeah. So initially, I actually left college, so I could do some. I was in a band. We were playing a lot of shows, so I decided to take a break from school, do a little bit of touring, and try that stuff out. And that's really where it kind of all came together for me, because you know I kind of realized I could work and I could do the VO stuff that my dad does using the skills that I already have in that area. And so at that point, I decided to go I ended up going to the Conservatory of Sciences in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's where I did my full audio engineering training.
Was that a 2 year or
That is actually an 11-month
okay, intensive kind of training?
intensive course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Bill Hudson, go ahead.
no, I just said, wow.
Bill, so does Alex still do editing just like when he was, you know, 15 years old? Does he still fulfill that, or is he off doing kind of his other things and for your media company
Well,
and
I know
such?
Alex does a lot of editing. He doesn't do any for me. He's got other clients that he does that for, because when after Alex like went to school, and Mallory ended up started working for me full time. Um, like a dozen years ago. I mean, it was a long time ago. And then she picked up all of that. And then, you know, a number of years later, Alex gets into engineering, and now Alex has he has, I don't know how many clients you have, Alex, but I know you do quite a bit of editing.
I do, yeah. A small handful of ongoing clients for sure. But you know, I'm always getting, you know, whether it's people coming from Bill's training or just people that I've worked with in the past, you know, maybe they'll come back to me and ask me for something like that. Um, but yeah, I do kind of all kinds of editing now. I'm working on a podcast or two as well. So it's definitely shifted into a different lane for me.
Anything, Bill, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, so it's just pass if you want to, but would you wish that people would ask Alex a certain question or set of questions who are, you know, looking to be involved in these webinars? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, one of the things, yeah, I think it would be interesting to hear Alex talk a little bit about Alex, when you first started working with editing in Adobe Audition, because I know people that freaks people out if they have no experience. Maybe I'd love to hear more about how and it's been a long time. I don't remember you having any issues whatsoever. The way I remember it, you like picked it up. I may have shown you a few things. I don't even remember. But I remember just seeing you were always working on it, just doing it. And it was great. You did great. But maybe talk about that learning curve, or was there much of a learning curve? Is it not as scary as people think it is? You know, what are your
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I think I was lucky to be able to get in at the age that I did. You know, I was 15 years old. I don't think I fully understood of what my dad was doing. So, you know,
Nobody
it's
did.
like, sure,
Don't feel bad.
yeah. So, you know, and he showed me what to do step by step. And, you know, eventually, while it kind of started as this process, it kind of turned into something that I was able to, you know, get creative with. And so I think once I realized that, it became a lot more enjoyable. And I mean, unfortunately, I have to say that it was never really stressful for me, to be completely honest. And like I said, I think that's just because I was given such clear direction out the gate of the basics that needed to be done. But I will say, get into these things, like once you start clicking around in a DAW and just trying stuff, it is liberating, I will say, because you kind of start to realize you're not gonna screw anything up as bad as you think you are.
Yeah.
It's
Control Z. Control Z.
yeah, exactly.
Undo.
Control
Pretty
Z.
difficult to permanently ruin something like that.
Well, that's quite, it's quite a responsibility that you gave Alex at 15 years old, because, that's your bread and butter. I mean, your audio is what you're giving your clients. And so that's quite a compliment, I think.
Well, it's always been my desire to be, I love to do stuff with my kids, love it. And whether they want to do voiceover or not, that doesn't matter to me. I just want them to do whatever it is that makes them happy. But to have an opportunity to share something that they're interested in. I mean, when Alex showed interest, I was thrilled. That was awesome. And like, he just took it and ran. All I remember is saying, here's the stuff every day. And he would just do it, and it would go out, and there were just never any issues. It was just smooth, and it was enjoyable. And, it's always been fun having my kids around to do that kind of stuff.
There's a comfort level there, because, you can have conversations, and you can, talk over dinner and stuff like that.
It is nice to have people around.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I'll say, like, having, not only is he my dad, but he, he's easy to talk to, and so I also kind of knew in the back of my head, if I do mess this up, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I try to bring that into my own work as well with my sessions and whatnot. I want to kind of be that guiding hand that's not going to screwing something up.
Yeah. Well,
That's funny.
Hudson, I mean, we talked about you doing voiceover for several years, and it was the same thing. I mean, I didn't want to say, this is a family business, we need you to do this. I didn't want to do any kind of that. But I was very glad when we could, when Hudson decided, because of COVID and things like that, I would like to do voiceover, and it was of his own volition. And then we were able to start with all of the boys. We were able to start, VO Marketing Pro together. That's just a thrill. So I identify with you, Bill and Alex, about that. Hudson, I don't know if you wanted to comment on that.
No, yeah, it was a little bit out of necessity. Once again, I'd always had it in the back of my mind, because a lot of people would say, your voice sounds like your dad's, you should do radio or something like that. So, and then when Dad went into voiceover, I thought, that'd be something I'd like to do. But I never really, you think about running your own business, you think, oh, there's so many things you have to do. And there are a lot of things you have to do. But once I got into it, I thought, oh, I can do this. So that's, a little bit out of necessity. And I'm really glad that necessity kind of came about, because I really enjoy, rolling out of my bed and getting right into my thing. I can, I could be in my PJs if I wanted to and make money. So
it's a beautiful thing.
These are my work clothes. Right here.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
The hardest part, I think, about having a weekly podcast, and you struggle with this, Bill, I imagine, is I don't change my clothes throughout the week, because I take off my clothes and go work out, and then I come back and I put on the same clothes, and they're not dirty or smelly. I just and I think, did I wear these last week at the podcast? So I got to look back at the podcast and see what I wore the week before.
Every morning. This morning I'm like,
Yep.
when was the last time because my thought is, people don't think I wear the same t-shirt every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does feel that way, but whatever.
Yeah, working from home. Well, the one thing nice about COVID is kind of everybody has been, doing that, where their hair is messed up on Zoom, and, they're talking and their kids are screaming, their dog is barking, where, when I first started doing sessions, it's like, everybody has to be really quiet up there. Be quiet. I don't want everybody to know I'm working from home, 12 years ago.
Right.
So.
Right. We all gave up on that. That's funny. Today I had HVAC guy here to do stuff. My dogs are going crazy.
Yeah.
I've been in sessions where I had to stop because the neighbors mowing the lawn. You're right. A dozen years ago, we were all terrified that would happen with a client. Now it's like, that's just the way it is. It's like, hold on a second, my neighbor's mowing. When he passes, we'll pick up the next line. It's common now.
So you don't do any voiceover, Alex? Or have you done some?
I have done some. I've done a couple of audiobooks, and then some here and there, but nothing, nothing major.
Okay. So Mallory does a lot. I mean, that's her kind of secondary career after being a wife and mother at this point. And then
Yeah.
you do some on the side. So Hudson, are we going to be able to, and I guess I'm asking all three of you, are we going to be able to make sure we have links so that people, is that okay, by the way, if we had some links in our podcast in case somebody, can they join midstream if they want to, or even one of the last ones?
Oh yeah, for the class, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah.
everything's recorded and available on demand. I mean, once they buy it, they could buy it when it's all over.
Right.
Okay, great. So it's archived and people
Yeah.
can pick it up whenever, and they can go back and rewatch it, which that's really, that's optimum. I mean, that's wonderful, because I would probably need to do that, watch it and stop it.
Oh,
and
me
see
Yeah,
it.
we jam a lot into the sessions. So
Yeah. How long are the sessions normally?
they're about an hour a piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first session was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let's say the first session ended up going, we went longer than we thought. It was like 45 minutes of content and then 45 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens this week, but we might end up just, if there's as much engagement as there was last week, we might just keep going with that, because we want to answer people's questions. But just anyhow, I just thought I'd throw that out there for what it's worth.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Do you have Q&A? Because I think can be beneficial to kind of get a, temperature of the room, if you will, who's watching, what people are, you probably know that, but that would be helpful for me. What are people asking? What are they in need of? So
Definitely. Yeah. Because even putting this stuff together, there's definitely a chance that I didn't think of something that could apply to someone. And so having that Q&A at the end of every session to kind of, get some extra thoughts in that maybe I just didn't think of before.
And there's no one who doesn't have a question when it comes to tech.
It's true.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just jam-packed. And then after a while, you find out, I mean, they basically are the same questions after, there's only so many things on that topic. But yeah, it's just one of those things where people, understandably so, have a lot of questions.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for people, whether they're starting or people like me who've been in it a while and need even something as simple as Control-Z or a few other little things that can be very helpful. So we'll have a link below so that people can click on it and purchase it and join you. Anything else, Hudson or Bill or Alex, anything else you want to kind of throw out here to make sure we cover?
Well, since you opened the door,
Yes, please.
I just wanted to mention, and I know you talk about this a lot and I appreciate it, but we do offer, when I say we, I mean, there's a team of people that help me out with all of the training, and there's always something going on or something in the works of going on. And right now we have a big attendance for Alex's Tech Mastery, and we hope people know that will continue to be available, and he'll probably do a new one next year. Mallory is preparing to do her next Fiverr training class in another month or two. I think it's not very far into the future. So just to say that there's a roster of things. We try to do about 4 really big specific type of classes per year, in addition to my ongoing VO Blueprint.
Yeah, so they can check out the whole gamut of things that you guys have, not just this, but you're on everyday YouTube. You're our YouTube friend every morning, talking to us who are lonely and lost in voiceover. And you stream every day, and you've got your DeWees webinar every other week on a Friday, and you have all sorts of things, Blueprint, the membership and stuff.
We cover A to Z, soup to nuts, as they would say, when it comes to voiceover. There's not a base that's left uncovered.
Good. Well, it's sure nice to have you guys as resources. We really appreciate it, and appreciate our business friendship, our partnership, and all the things that we do. So keep up the great work.
Well.
Yeah.
Also, thank you guys for being part of the original Father-Son voiceover podcast, because obviously Bill, Alex, father, son, dad, you and me, it's squared. So that just made it completely right.
Like
so
the
thank
Brady
you guys.
Bunch.
Right.
We can look up at different. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.